So it's you, Soitsu here, and today we are here with the absolute mad lads, Timothy Dexter, by Count Dankula. Of course, support the original video, link in the description. Now let's get it. Viewer suggested video. That's right, it's not just gonna be about series that we're already in. It could be anything. We're trying out this new one, the Mad Lad series. Let's go.
Many of the Mad Lads that we've talked about are fundamentally tragic stories about desperate people trying their hardest to improve their lot in life, only to fail in a devastating or hilarious fashion. It's just a sad fact of life that even the smartest of us can't win them all. No matter how skilled you are or how airtight your plan is, things often just don't work out for those that deserve it. However, the exact opposite
that is
happens.
not this story.
Every once in a while, a complete dribbling idiot comes along and stakes absolutely everything he has on something even dumber than monkey pictures. And it inexplicably pays off. An absolute mouth breather that kept failing upwards on little more than a whim until some people began to suspect that he might actually be a genius. Until his next overwhelmingly stupid investment. A complete gibbering moron that could somehow bet everything on yellow and still win. The great-great-grandfather of Wall Street bets. Wow. Lord Timothy Dexter.
Alright, we got ourselves a winner here. Okay, so we're also gonna get some more history lessons. I am a fan of electricity.
Please leave a like and a comment on this video because it really helps me in the algorithm.
I'll give you the like.
But before we get started, it is in fact your boy.
Okay, I skipped over the ad read. It's not like the Fat Electrician where he does like pretty quick, like under a minute one. No, this one was a 3-minute ad for Raid Shadow Legends. Oh my god, I'm sorry, but I'm skipping over that. But still, support him. What's going on in Raid Shadow Legends? I'm not going to tell you not to do that.
Timothy Dexter was born on the 22nd of January 1747 in Malden,
1747,
Massachusetts, and he was the son of Irish immigrants. As a boy of very limited means, he had to drop out of school at the age of 8 to work the field as an indentured labourer, which left him pretty much illiterate. Fortunately, however, the young Timothy's destiny wasn't eternal serfdom, and he went on to become an apprentice leather tanner at the age of 14.
Okay.
Once qualified, Timothy moved to the city of Newburyport in 1769 to set up shop and seek his fortune. And it was there that he met and married a relatively wealthy widow named Elizabeth Frothingham, who was 9 years his senior and also a mother of 4.
Damn!
It's like continuing from someone else's save point with the marriage.
My man's playing New Game Plus for someone else.
For Timothy's, well, seed. Timothy set up his tanning business in her basement in Boston, where he would sell hides, blubber, moose hide trousers, and gloves. But
yeah, the regular leather works.
Wanted more. Timothy found himself envious of his wealthier neighbours, and he wanted the fortune and prestige that they had. So he set out to take his first step on the societal ladder and got political. Sort of. Timothy noticed that all of the neighbours that he admired were all involved in the political scene, which convinced him that he needed a position of his own to become their peer. So, to secure his place in public office, Timothy took the approach of a true politician. Being really fucking annoying, Timothy wrote letter after letter to the local powers that be to ask for a job, and he refused to stop until he got one.
I got one.
His handwriting was atrocious and the content of the letters was
At least he is trying. That is the one thing. We got people who don't even want to even try to, what's it called, get the freaking application out. Nah, this guy's all like, listen, look, I'm not the best at everything, but I am here to work. I want money, but I am willing to work for it. I'm not just gonna be, I want money, but I don't want to do anything for it. I want to get paid for my house. No. He has a little bit of respect right now. He's gaining respect slowly.
Practically gibberish, but Timothy sent so many letters that the local government office ended up drowning in paper. In a desperate bid to get Timothy to shut the fuck up and stop sending them letters, they just decided,
we'll give you a
fuck
job.
it, whatever, fine, here's a job. And they made Timothy the informer of deer.
What?
Now, for those of you that were not born yesterday, this is a completely made up and invented role. It's not real.
Yeah,
this is something that they just pulled out of their arses to get Timothy to stop annoying them, but also make fun of him at the same time. Timothy, however, was very proud of his success, and he took this job very seriously. And this job involved sounding the alarm whenever any deer were seen in the area.
Oh, I would be
However,
going crazy
there
with
had
that
been
job.
no deer seen in Newburyport for over 19 years. But Timothy didn't know that.
I'm
so
the best
he just
ass sitter
assumed
in
he
the
did
land.
a very good job. So that was the political ladder sorted. Now Timothy just needed money. While the leather business was going pretty well, Timothy knew that he needed to be more proactive if he was going to make the fortune he required to accompany his new political clout, if you want to call it that. So he got straight on that Sigma grind set and started to ape into whatever he could find.
Competitive
hoping that
ass sitting?
something would turn him a profit. Timothy's game plan was to keep an eye out for any goods that were in short supply and then buy all of them.
What?
Hoping that the laws of supply and demand would kick in and he could jack up the price and resell them.
Okay.
And surprisingly, Timothy had a surprising amount of success with this.
Yeah.
So much, in fact, that local merchants actually
playing
started
the
to become
freaking stock game.
apprehensive about selling him their stock in case the value rose like Timothy expected. But then basic reasoning skills kicked in and they almost always sold the goods anyway.
This guy
After
had
all,
stonks
why would
figured
such
out.
reckless speculation by some random idiot that clearly has no idea what he's doing actually pay off? Timothy's net worth was steadily increasing, all according to plan. However, there was a snag. The
Which
local
was?
elites that Timothy was working so hard to join were seriously rubbed the wrong way by
You're messing with my
everything
money.
about him. They hated him. They fucking hated
You're messing with
him
all our money.
so much. They hated his crude, obnoxious, and distasteful nature, but they mainly hated him because how dare this village idiot think himself equal to such esteemed gentlemen as themselves? I mean, look at him, grinding away to his heart's content, trying desperately to fail upwards to their rank and privilege that they worked so hard to
inherit.
But they earned
This is not
their
pre-watch.
position, damn it.
This is my first time ever even seeing this guy, even hearing about him. But goddamn, we are on the same wavelength right now. Holy snap!
So to
I can see why this guy
their
was a
veneer of superiority, they
recommended
tried
to
their
me.
damnedest to set Timothy up to fail. Partly out of jealousy and partly as an amusing prank. Through some cunning financial advice, they were going to take advantage of how naive Timothy was and ruin him. They encouraged Timothy to hoard continental dollars that had been issued by the fledgling American government to pay for the revolution. However, these were barely more legitimate than Gregor McGregor's Poirier dollars because, as we all know, fiat currency is worth about as much as toilet paper. The only thing holding it up right now is, well, belief.
It's worth its weight in
Just gotta have
ass.
faith. Actually, these dollars were worth less than toilet paper, come to think of it, because 240 million continental dollars had been issued throughout the war, which in the 18th century was an absolutely outrageous amount. So, just by existing, continental dollars devalued themselves substantially. But then the British threw a big wrench in the works by flooding the market with counterfeit notes.
Oh.
Within 5 years, continental dollars were worth 1/40th of their face value, and eventually they were completely worthless because no one would accept them anymore.
And is he gonna forget half them all?
A big lesson about
And
supply
then
and demand economics.
they just go to the
when it comes to
moon.
currency and inflation, but I don't need to. You're all going to find out the hard way soon enough. However, none of that occurred to Timothy. All he really thought to himself was,
Hey,
wow,
I'm getting a
how
lot of
nice of
this.
those guys to give me such a lucrative tip. They must really like me after all. And then Timothy spent all of his own and his wife's savings, real money,
on
to
those.
buy up all of the continental dollars he could get his hands on, barreling straight towards bankruptcy.
Until.
But after the Revolutionary War, something unexpected happened. The
To the
newly established
moon!
US government decided to honour this fiat currency at 1% of its face value, causing its value to skyrocket. Timothy's net worth equally exploded overnight. And compounding this stroke of insane luck was the fact that Timothy had also bought a bunch of European currency that greatly appreciated in value once the Revolutionary War ended and trade with the Old World started back up again. In celebration of he and his fledgling nation's fortune, Timothy Dexter gave his speech on the 4th of July, 1793.
Wow.
And for some reason, he gave the speech in French. Timothy Dexter cannot speak French. He gave an approximation of what he believed French to be.
I would like to thank everyone. We are very proud of what amount of fortune that I made by buying all of these nuts. That's probably what he was doing. He just mixing in French words with everything. All these amount of bees that made my fortune, croissant, and all of you who were very kind to give me the hint to even get this started of wine. That's very stupid.
I'm
very
fee
stupid.
hon hon baguette. And in this speech, Timothy accidentally wished the audience good breeding, piety, and wine. As one can expect from such linguistic limitations and the fact that it's Timothy Dexter we're talking about, I'm sure that very little of substance was actually said after he essentially blotted out the 18th century equivalent of sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah.
Timothy then used the substantial profits from his ye olde crypto trading scheme to buy 2 merchant ships, named the Mehetabel and the Congress, which allowed Timothy's insane antics to hit a fever pitch as he started to export goods to Europe and the West Indies. After receiving another tip from his rich friends, Timothy used these ships to send over 40,000 bed warming pans to the Caribbean.
What?
Those big spoon-looking things that you fill with hot coals and put under the bed to keep it warm in the winter. Those things that are absolutely fucking useless in the Caribbean because it's the Caribbean, it's fucking hot.
Yeah. I was gonna say what's it called, the equivalent of oh my god, there's that Family Guy bit of Peter bringing I think it was freaking brownie pants that allow you to have pieces, all the pieces that have a little bit of the edges on it to Ethiopia to help world hunger.
Well, you would think they would be useless over there, but the ship's captain came to clutch and he marketed them as molasses ladles.
Oh.
And the Caribbean was a huge hotspot for sugar manufacturing. So the venture actually turned into a great success, and they sold them all. In fact, Timothy managed to get a lot of repeat business out of the Caribbean, where he later sent Bibles that were completely useless until Christian missionaries arrived just a few days before the shipment. But while Timothy seemed to be on a real hot streak, his next investment really pushed his luck. Wool gloves. After the success of warming pans, Timothy decided to send wool gloves to the Caribbean. And since
it's hot
you
as hell,
can't really MacGyver wool gloves into anything useful on the fucking equator, Timothy would have been fucked the moment they hit the market. However,
until
they never made it there.
Oh.
So what happened? Did the ship get wrecked in a storm? Was it attacked by a crew of terribly disappointed pirates? Or were the gloves bought en route by Asian merchants on their way to Siberia? Well, it might not be that last one, because some sources say that the merchants were actually Portuguese. But regardless of who bought the gloves, Timothy inexplicably made a tremendous profit yet again. The man just couldn't stop failing upwards to insane fortune. But then he did something that was wildly unexpected. Something that was truly...
He put it all on black.
Shocking. Timothy Dexter...
and let it ride.
...did something smart.
Wait, what?
On purpose. Newburyport had a massive stray cat problem, and the local government voted against killing them all. So no one knew what the hell to do, until Timothy stepped up and said, "I'll take them." for some fucking reason. So Timothy filled his ships with a horde of captured stray cats and shipped them all to the Caribbean, which just so happened to have a massive rat problem, because they arrived on the ships, and whenever rats get into a land where there isn't a rat population, they just explode.
I was gonna say, would this be considered... What would this be considered? Would it be considered aura? Like it's 100% his luck for sure, but goddamn, he is building aura amongst the world with his freaking dumb slash wild ideas. That's the thing. What the hell is this man going through? Why can't we have it? Why can't I have this luck? Why can't any of you have this luck? Who knows? Maybe you do. Maybe I do. Who knows?
So Timothy sold all of these cats to the plantations as pest control for their warehouses, as well as selling them to other ships to prevent rats from getting on board. The man literally herded cats. And it paid off.
It paid off.
I mean, sure, fuck it, why not? Timothy's next big play came about when he overheard a conversation where a sailor was complaining about the scarcity of stay stuff. So, Timothy put his speculator hat on and bought 340 tons of whale bones.
What?
Which is a fucking lot of whale bones. And in fact, it was all of it. It was all of the whale bones. Timothy completely monopolized the whalebone market because he bought all of it. But why? Why the fuck did he buy whalebones?
That needs whalebones?
Because when the sailor was talking about stay stuff, he meant rigging. You know, the apparatus that holds ships and sails and all of that stuff together. What the fuck does that have to do with whalebones? Well, This actually helps us understand how Timothy Dexter's mind works. This sailor was looking for stuff that holds ships together. So Timothy thought to himself,
Hey, Bone's
ships
pretty strong.
hold together. Ships go in water. What else is in the water?
Whales are in water.
Whales. Whales are in the water. What holds whales together? Bones.
Bones.
Whales have bones. If
Humans
bones could
have
hold whales
bones.
together in the water, then bones could also hold ships together. I will buy bones.
I am a goddamn genius.
Oh, this man's a fucking. It didn't take long for Timothy to realise his fuck up. With his investment plan in tatters, Timothy's diamond
Until-
hands had failed him. And
That's the
he
thing about him.
decided to
Until-
sell the whale bones at a 75% markup. Because
Mark
in
up.
monopolising the entire whalebone market, accidentally, it meant he had no competition.
I mean,
He was the only guy
I
with
am the
whalebones,
whalebone
so he
baron.
could sell them for any price he wanted. He made a massive profit yet again. By some fucking miracle, Timothy was just in time for whalebone corsets to go into fashion. So clothing manufacturers bought up all of his whalebone at his big inflated price.
So what is this man's net worth so far is my question. Cause this man is just non-stop winning. What could it be? I hope he was guy. He tells me at least by the end of what his net worth back then ended up being.
I don't even have anything to say. Furious about his success, Timothy's peers then threw an idiom at Timothy, telling him to ship coal to Newcastle. And everyone knows that that phrase simply means to carry out a pointless task. Now,
Okay.
I know what some of you Yanks out there might be thinking, what's the problem? Everyone needed coal back then. Well, I don't know if you're a history buff or not, but Newcastle had the biggest mining economy in England. Coal was its biggest biggest mining economy in England.
Hello.
Coal was its biggest export. Trying to sell coal to Newcastle would be like trying to sell snow to Canada. Or
Yeah, they'd
trying
probably
to sell
buy
war
it to be
criminals
nice.
to the Balkans. But anyway, coal mining was so big in Newcastle that even Boston was importing the stuff from there. But as we all know, Timothy wasn't burdened by an overabundance of...
Be like,
Still.
I have gone with the flow and it
So-
works so damn well for me.
He actually did it. He actually shipped coal to Newcastle, blissfully unaware that his ships were going to be laughed out of the British port and leave him ruined.
And when he comes
Nope.
back,
Psych.
a super millionaire.
Bamboozled. That's not what happened at all. Timothy made an absolute fuck ton of money yet again. By yet another stroke of ridiculous luck, when Timothy's boats arrived, the miners in Newcastle had all gone on strike, causing a coal shortage. So the city
Oh
was
my
actually
God.
very grateful to have its own coal sold back to it. At this point, Timothy's neighbours and peers just need to shut the fuck up. And
Yeah,
take
they
it
need to
out
stop
and
making this
stop
man
trying to ruin
richer.
him with fake advice, because it just backfires every single time. With his wealth well and truly secured, Timothy was finally on the threshold of the Boston upper class. He had the money, he had the political clout, if you want to call it
Yeah,
that. He
yeah,
had
the
all
world
he
recognition.
except for charisma. After all that effort, Timothy was rejected once and for all from the upper echelons of society for being a massive, arrogant dickhead that no one liked. Which is kind of strange.
But here's the
because, you know,
thing. There's
thought
the
that would
elite,
help
but then
to
there's
define
also
him.
the super elite.
Eventually realising that he was disliked by the local elite for a lot more than just
I'm
his
gonna
humble
move and find a
background,
better
Timothy
elite
gave up on
with
trying
blackjack
to hang
and
out
hookers.
with the cool kids.
You know what?
And
Forget the
instead
elites.
moved to Chester in New Hampshire in 1796.
Okay.
However,
Well, New
Timothy
Hampshire
was
now.
not there for very long because his personality resulted in a local lawyer beating the shit out of him. Now, you know what Timothy's character is like, so
He
this
probably
beating
needed
could
it.
be caused by any number of reasons. Timothy had styled himself as the Earl of Chester, and he insisted that everyone call him Lord Dexter, which is obnoxious enough to make anyone punchable, but all of the locals seemed to just let that slide. What had actually drawn the wrath of this particular lawyer was Timothy allegedly tried to fuck his wife.
Okay,
Get into why that might just be true later on. Timothy made his return to Newburyport, where he would go on to become stronger than ever. You see, he learned the wrong lesson from his humbling experiences with the would-be peers that he looked up to so much. So wrong that the experiences weren't actually humbling at all. Timothy finally realised that money talks. And it was saying, what the hell do I need those pretentious wankers for? I have money. I can do whatever the fuck I want. Timothy wasted no time in buying a big, lavish house overlooking the sea that was worthy of a lord such as himself, and he referred to it as his princely chateau with tasteful and commodious outhouses. Because, God forbid Timothy learn a lesson and put his ego aside for 5 fucking seconds. However, the public actually went along with his lordship bullshit, because they actually found all of Timothy's batshit insane antics really funny.
Yeah.
So they just kinda egged him on. You know, like the special kid in class that thought he was a superhero, and then you tell him to jump out of the window.
No,
I'm
don't.
sorry, I was only
Don't do
13,
that.
I didn't know any better. But anyway, that
Brian,
doesn't mean that Timothy didn't put in the work to make the LARP convincing. He spared no expense on this place, and he even had a library put in just to look clever. He didn't actually read any.
Yeah, I was
of the
gonna say,
books.
can he even read?
And some of the books were like really, really valuable, but they weren't kept in good condition because Timothy very often defaced or tore them. Other affectations that Timothy bought for the house included some lovely cream-coloured horses for his carriage, until he got bored of them and bought grey ones instead. He also had a great big mausoleum built for he and his family to be buried in when the time came, and it was completely decked out with mahogany caskets that were all lined with silk. The caskets were so comfy that Timothy would very often
I would just sleep in my own
whenever he felt like he needed some peace and quiet, which was pretty much all the time. But all of these accessories were nothing compared to the most famous part of the estate, which in true Timothy Dexter fashion was also the most tasteless. He had 40 15-foot columns erected around the garden and topped with garishly painted statues that cost $2,000 each. Now, if you're going to spend 80 grand on a bunch of statues, then they better be of some very important people.
They're all of me!
They were. Featured in this sort of ye olde Madame Tussauds was a selection of Indian chiefs, military generals, philosophers and politicians who were important at the turn of the 19th century. These included George Washington, John Adams, Napoleon, King Louis XVI, Ben Franklin, Lord Nelson, and King George III. Thomas Jefferson was also included, and in true Jeffersonian fashion, he courted a little bit of controversy. As the statues were being put up, Timothy noticed a painter writing that Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence, which he did.
Yeah.
However,
I don't believe it!
The man because he was certain that Jefferson had actually written the US Constitution, not the Declaration of Independence. But Timothy soon went off in a huff after the painter stood his ground because
he knows ball.
Then Timothy came back with a fucking gun.
You will stop!
With a gun and fired a shot in the air. Then the painter just said to himself, you know what, fuck it, I'm not getting paid enough for this.
Yeah.
And he corrected the inscription, saying that Jefferson wrote the Constitution of Independence.
The Constitution
However,
of Independence.
this was not the only incorrect inscription on the statues.
Oh, what
You
else
see,
we got?
Timothy was a simple man. A very simple man. So, he was very easy to amuse. So he
Okay.
very often swapped around the names on the statues for fun. Despite having a pretty huge and luxurious estate to run around in, Timothy preferred to spend most of his time in a very common refuge for most rich people. Up his own arse. Because the last statue was of himself.
Okay,
He'd
yeah,
given
there we
his
go.
statue the place of honour right beside George Washington. And his statue's plinth was inscribed with, "I am the first in the East, the first in the West, and the greatest philosopher in the Western world." But what wisdom did Timothy have to
Yeah.
make him worthy of such an esteemed epithet?
I mean, I made my
Well,
money.
fortunately, Timothy was generous enough to share his enlightenment with us by writing what he called his little book.
The world is a
Little spell.
dick.
EL.
That is it.
This
Philosophy.
text was titled A Pickle for the Knowing Ones, or Plain Truth in a Homespun Dress. Some considered it a memoir, others can make a case for it being a sort of manifesto. I personally believe it was just a diatribe of whatever was on Timothy's mind when he sat down and started writing.
Man, got the drink and just said,
8,847 words. It's more of a pamphlet than a book, but frankly, I'm just impressed that Timothy knew enough words to fill such a document. Because remember how I said that Timothy was basically illiterate?
yeah.
Well, not only is this book just a bunch of faux intellectual I am 12 and this is deep garbage, but pretty much every single word is spelled wrong. The thing reads like Chris Chan having a stroke.
Oh
and
no, not
I
Christian.
don't know what possessed Timothy to create such a thing. Compounding the book's complete illegibility is the fact that there is no punctuation at all. None.
This is all one
whatsoever.
giant
The entire
sentence.
thing is just made up of paragraph-long running sentences that received many complaints from readers. But despite his massive ego, Timothy actually took this criticism on board and released a second edition that had all of the necessary punctuation
I got a
on
proofreader.
a single page for
Add
for
them where
readers
you see
to-
fit.
pepper and salt it as they please throughout the book. Timothy really said, if you don't like how this reads, then fix it your fucking self.
Yeah.
However, that didn't
It's my
stop the
memoir.
book from being a massive success. Timothy initially gave it away for free, and it proved to be so popular.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, because that was just a that was just a freaking entertainment book at this point. Find the fix, find the pronunciation, fix it. Now we're gonna use this in schools. Now this will help the children learn more. They will learn how to freaking pronunciate. We will learn how to proofread at a very young age now. And they're all gonna be learning about his life story. What is this, man? Who is looking down on this? Who is looking down on this man and saying, "You got this, brother"?
That it was reprinted 8 times. But let's not get caught up in the book's style over its substance. What was Timothy trying to tell us with this fever dream? What was a pickle for the knowing ones
Be like,
actually
no
about?
one understood it.
Well,
Not even him.
That is a fantastic question, and if anyone actually manages to figure it out, please let us know, because we literally have a team of researchers here.
Yeah.
Literally, a team of researchers, and none of them could figure out what the fuck Timothy was trying to say.
I was
The
like-
book's opening.
Gonna say we have freaking researchers who can figure out freaking hieroglyphics and stuff. But this from 1700, we're learning stuff from thousands of years ago. But this stumps us, and it's written in a way that we can actually kind of understand, but none of us know for sure.
It's certainly something. Right away, Timothy sets the tone by declaring, "To mankind at large, the time has come at last, the great
time
day
has
of
come
rejoicing.
at last,
Why
that
is
great
that?
day."
Why I will tell you, the three kings is raised. You mean..."
Raised.
Oh my god, this is like the 8th take. I'll just keep it in. Fuck it. I don't give a shit anymore. Raised.
Hey,
You mean it should
like
go
I-
raised on the first royal arch in the
George!
world, almost not quite, but very high up upon.
George.
So they are good mark to be seen. So the women like to see the front, and all people love to see them as the Quakers will come and peep slyly and feel glad and say how they do how they do friend Father George Washington is the centre, King Adams is at the right hand, and so on.
I would say, was this just the? What is it called? Whatever they. I'm honestly just stumped. I can't even come up with words. It's so goddamn stupid.
Now, we don't have time to unpack all that, but I think what he's saying is that he is celebrating the newly formed United States and its presidents thus far, and for
Yes,
some reason
Charlie
he's also implying that Quakers
Washington.
are perverts. I think I truly have no idea what's going on. From what I can gather, the text as a whole is something of an account of Timothy's career and whatever was on his mind at the time. Naturally, Timothy can't praise the protagonist of his autobiography enough, proudly stating, "I'm the First Lord in the United States of America, now of Newburyport. It is the voice of the people and I can't help
Voiced.
it, so let it go."
Piapel.
As part of this exercise in ego stroking, Timothy actually reveals the secret to his successful investments, which is so brilliant, so big brained,
How
that
is he
the
going
English
to-
language
how's he gonna
itself
spin it?
clearly cannot comprehend the genius at play here. I'm just going to leave the text on the screen for a moment, just for you to take in. So just look at that.
Okay, let's see. How did Dexter make his money? Inouye says buying whalebone for stains for ships engrossing 340 tons, both all in Boston, Salem, and all in New York. Undercover. Openly, he told them, "For my ships, they all loft. So I had at my one price, I had 4 cunning men for runners. They soon the horn as I told them. I act the fool. I was foul of cash. It's cash. I had 9 ton of filth. I can't go anymore."
Look upon his works, ye mighty, and despair. Go on, see if you can make any sense of that.
I try.
Try, I fucking dare you, because I guarantee that braver men have failed. One of my researchers is actually extremely well versed in classical literature, and he had a fucking nervous breakdown trying to read and comprehend this. But so his sacrifice isn't in vain. I shall read it aloud to you in as close to plain English as he could get it. If you'll excuse me for just
No,
a
I would
moment,
read it
just
with the
till I
weird
find the-
pronunciations.
Sorry, so it's easy to find. You just need to follow the clear Asperger's. Okay. How did Dexter make his money? And he says, buying whalebone for staying for ships engrossing 340 tons, bought all in Boston, Salem, and all in New York undercover openly, told them for my ships. They all laughed, so I had my one prize. I had 4 cunning men of runners that sounded the horn as I told them to act the fool. I was full of cash. I I had 9 tons of silver on hand at the time. All that time, the creatures more or less laughing. It spreads very fast. Here is the rub. In 50 days, they smelled a rat, found where it was gone to Newburyport speculators, warned like hellhounds to be shot with it. I made 75%, 1 ton and half of silver. Over one more, I dreamed of warming pans.
Yeah, I must say, and I think he actually has like the actual like translated like to actually readable, not like the weird pronunciations. Oh my god, it makes me want to read the whole thing now. Like I was already giving up what's it called just during the first quarter.
I dreamed of warming pans. 3 nights that they would do it. In the West Indies, I got not more than 42,000, put them in 9 vessels for different ports that took good hold. I cleared 79%. The pans made use of them for cooking. Very good, master, for good, blessed, good. Indeed, Missy got nice hands, now burn my face. The best thing I ever see in born days, I found I was very lucky in speculation. I dreamed that the good book was run down in this country. 9 years gone, so low as half price and dull. At that the Bible, I mean, I had the ready cash, my wholesale. I bought 12% under half price, that cost me 41 cents. Whack Bible, 20,000. I put them into 21 vessels for the West Indies and sent a text. The man was truly ahead of his time.
Yeah, he was texting back then.
Done wicked fly to the Bible. Wicked fly, yeah, he is ahead of his time. And on their knees and kiss the Bible 3 times and look up to heaven and ask forgiveness, my captains. All had complete orders. Here comes the good luck. I made 100% and little over. Then I found I had made money enough. I had speculated since old times by government securities. I made or cleared $47,000. That is the old affair now. I told all the secret now. Be still, let me alone.
Music
Don't
behind
wonder
this.
no more how I got my money, boys. Timothy Dexter. Truly one of the greatest minds of our time.
One of the
But
minds
with
of all
his
time.
gift of the ways of the market also came a warning. Within this hallowed text was also a few words for Timothy's enemies and detractors. Unto you, all mankind, come to my house to mock and sneer. Why don't you laugh before God? Or I mean, you better think the higher power don't know thoughts and actions. Now I will tell you good and bad, it is not polite to come to see what the bare walls keep off my ground. If you are gentlemen, you would stay away.
What? If you know what's good for you, stay away is what he's saying, I guess.
A paragraph later, Timothy doubled down, writing, I want to make my enemies grin in time like a cat over a hot pudding and... This fucking video. And go away and hang their heads down like a dog been after sheep guilty. Like a dog been after sheep guilty. I am not sure what Timothy meant by that, but I'm sure it was more than scathing enough in his own head. But despite the conviction of his remarks against his enemies, there was one thorn in Timothy's side that he found insurmountable. One person that he just couldn't abide at all. His own wife, Elizabeth. Yes, Timothy had a few choice words for her in his diatribe as well. Now, to all honest men, to pity me that I have been in hell. 35 years in this world with a ghost, a woman I married, and have 2 children now living. Abraham Bishop married my daughter. Since the trouble is such that words can't be expressed, 9 years disordered for a ton of silver for 3 months, I could not have the ghost in my palace sleep, not have to be had. The man, for anyone that's wondering, as I'm sure very many of you are right now, the man really said that not even a ton of silver could persuade him
You
to
could
put
not
up
pay
with
me
his
enough
wife for
to
3
have a
months,
good time
and
with
he
her.
thinks that his living situation deserves pity. But that's just Timothy's side of the story. What was Timothy's family really like? Well, to put it mildly, their relationship was really, 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 really bad. It was really bad,
I
especially between Timothy and his wife. There was probably quite a bit of resentment for her on Timothy's part because her family was really quite well connected and they probably looked down on Timothy for being, well, Timothy.
For being a goddamn
and
moron.
I can't say that I really blame them.
A really
Another
lucky
problem came
moron.
about as a result of the garden. Timothy's statues proved to be rather popular and they attracted a lot of local young women who would take it upon themselves to tend to the surrounding garden. You know, that's quite wholesome, isn't it? It's nice to see some local girls engaging in a hobby while making their area look nice. But all Timothy cared about was
hey,
the
women's
bush
here.
in his garden. He noticed what was going on and he wanted to plant some seed of his own.
Oh,
He watched those
okay,
girls
yeah.
working with the soil, and he wanted to get down and dirty himself. Yeah, he tried to fuck all of them.
Yeah.
He tried to fuck all of the girls that were in his garden, much to the chagrin of poor old Elizabeth. However, Timothy never actually got to see what else those green fingers could do, but I don't think that made much difference to his wife, who was constantly scolding him
Yeah.
for being a fucking degenerate. Timothy eventually decided to handle his family issues like an adult, by stomping around the house in a huff and accusing his family of conspiring to make him miserable. Eventually,
So I will
this tactic
leave.
got old, so Timothy just started to pretend that his wife didn't exist. And he would tell people who saw her skulking around the house to ignore her because she was just a ghost.
I have no idea who
However,
that thing is.
She was rarely spotted anyway because she was rarely in the house. The place had quickly degenerated into a shithole due to Timothy, his friends, and his son throwing raging parties every single night. Before their relationship broke down, Timothy and Elizabeth had 2 kids, though Timothy didn't get on much better with them than he did with his wife. The apple didn't fall far from the tree, so both kids drank heavily, you know,
Yeah.
because Irish. They, like their father, were also complete morons that were too stupid to do anything for themselves, despite the fact that Timothy spent a very pretty penny to get them both the best education that money could buy. Upon reaching adulthood, Timothy's dipshit son Samuel decided that he was grown up enough to strike out on his own, and he begged for a ship of cargo to go on his own trade mission to England. But
He's
it
like,
soon
no,
turned out
my
that
money.
while he had inherited his dad's IQ, he hadn't inherited his luck, because
Yeah.
Samuel gambled everything he had away as soon as he arrived in England. Timothy's daughter Nancy didn't really fare much better. She was pretty and wealthy enough to have a lot of suitors, but they all dumped her immediately after meeting her father.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Noted. Nevertheless, she eventually managed to marry a scholar from Yale that impressed Timothy with his intellect. Not that that would be difficult to do, but
Yeah.
the marriage was very unhappy. The scholar had married Nancy for her dad's money, only to discover that Timothy was a stingy bastard. So,
No, yeah,
after
you
the
named
couple
thing
had
for
a
me.
daughter, the inevitable divorce left Nancy with nothing but bruises and an even bigger drinking problem. And when she moved back in with Timothy, she was forced into seclusion. As you can probably tell, Timothy's home life was an absolute shambles. So in the absence of the family that he locked up, shunned and sent away, he surrounded himself with weirdos, poets and sycophants that he drank copiously with, and he made sing his praises at all times, almost literally in the poet's sense. However, as you would...
I would say he is coping the only way he knows how. I would say, and that is with the money that he just happened to find. He's like, I am rich. I am beyond rich. I am successful. did I deserve it? In my opinion, I didn't. In everyone else's opinion, I did not. But I'm not gonna change how I got here. So you know what? My money, my rules. I want y'all to be freaking praising me. I did a good job.
Expect these friends of Timothy's barely had a brain cell between them. The poet was actually a fishmonger.
Fishmonger.
The poet was actually a fishmonger by trade who sold porn as a side hustle, and another member of the entourage was a fortune teller whose best friend was a chicken. Like a literal chicken. Despite being a complete moron that gaslit himself into thinking that
he
the
literally
sun
has the
shone out
wolf
his
squad.
arse, Timothy wasn't totally incapable of introspection. Later in life, he found himself contemplating his own mortality. He found himself wondering what kind of legacy he was going to leave behind. After all, look at the state of all of his relationships. Sure, he had all the money he wanted, but what about that all-important prestige and respect?
Yeah, who's going to remember your name?
Community actually like him, or were they just sniffing after his money? Timothy needed to know that he was going to shuffle off this mortal coil after accomplishing his life's mission to be the local Chad. So he carried out a little experiment to test what people really thought of him.
Okay.
Timothy faked his death. Then he bribed his family into going along with the charade and putting an ad in the local paper announcing his passing and inviting the entire county to the funeral. On the 14th of November 1800, Timothy then watched the characteristically extravagant show from behind the bushes, discreetly hidden away and ready to see all of the heartbroken faces and hear all of the nice things that everyone was drunkenly saying about him.
Yeah, like nobody
Ultimately,
came.
The experiment proved to be a rousing success because
Oh, it did?
3,000 people showed up.
Holy crap!
However, Timothy wasn't satisfied with this. While he had the quantity of mourners that he wanted, the quality wasn't quite there, because he noticed that his wife wasn't crying. Not only that, but he actually saw her laughing with other guests at the wake. Later on, after the main event was over, the sound
rushed
of
on
screaming
stage
in the kitchen blew Timothy's cover. Timothy had jumped out, revealed himself to
I
the
never
shock of everyone, and then for not crying and actually kind of looking a little bit happy, Timothy beat the shit out of his own wife with a cane. Eventually, Timothy died for real on the 26th of October 1806 at the age of 58, which isn't very old, but considering how much he drank and how many people he pissed off, I'd say he had a pretty good run. In fact, it is believed that Timothy's relative longevity was thanks to his African-American nurse, Lucy Lancaster, who was essentially Timothy's babysitter, through keeping his hedonistic impulses in check, keeping Nancy out of the public eye, and mediating arguments between the whole family. Poor Lucy pretty much single-handedly kept the whole household together. Now, it must take one hell of a character to do that, and Timothy really thought that she was. For some reason, Timothy believed that she was descended from African royalty. So in true Timothy Dexter fashion, he might have been the first ever person to fall for the Nigerian prince scam. After Timothy's passing, it was revealed that he had bequeathed some money to the local poor, who were ultimately his only friends. In a surprising display of compassion, he'd even made sure his wife was looked after in his will. But despite living a life of grandeur, he wasn't allowed to keep the gravy train rolling into the afterlife. Timothy wasn't allowed to be interred in the personal mausoleum.
All the luck is gone now.
Much, likely because having a dead body in his public garden was seen as unsanitary. Instead, he received a much more basic grave than he intended in the local cemetery. However, not every aspect of Timothy's legacy remains intact. The famous statues are long gone.
Oh,
1815,
no.
a storm damaged them and they were subsequently either auctioned off or burned. Although I can't really say that that much artistic value was likely to have been lost. But
Well, what are we going? Let's say, well, what are we going to do without the writer of the U.S. Constitution, Thomas Jefferson? If you don't know, it was James Madison for the Constitution, and Declaration of Independence was Jefferson. Oh no!
Most iconic feature is no more. Timothy's house is actually still there. Sort of.
Sort of.
Years after its owner's passing, it was redecorated a number of times, giving it a much more tasteful Victorian appearance. At one point, it was even converted into a hotel.
Oh.
But don't worry, despite the veneer of respectability, the place still managed to attract complete and utter morons. On the 15th of August 1988, the owners had some absolute cowboy repairmen in that tried to remove paint from under the eaves with torches. So they set the fucking house on fire, and the place burned to the ground. However, historic New England had the original blueprints, so they were able to rebuild the house to the exact same specifications as the original, probably because of its worth in terms of both local history and its multi-million-dollar valuation. So the story is over, but it still leaves us with one very important question. Was Timothy really as stupid as we're all led to believe? I mean, sure, he could barely read and write, but that was a very common impediment to have in those days. Could he have been smart enough to make his own luck, despite his illiteracy? Well, some people believe that the garden statues were actually just a stunt to drum up traffic for a nearby bridge that Timothy had reportedly invested in. As one Newburyport local put it a few years after he died, though ignorant and illiterate, and doubtless somewhat indebted to luck for his good fortune, still it is evident that the man was both shrewd and sagacious. So, while we may never be able to know for certain, it certainly seems possible that Timothy's antics were an act and we were all just pawns in his own 4D chess game. But while this story sounds like a textbook case of crouching moron, hidden badass, I think that Occam's razor might just win out here. As for me personally, I believe that Timothy Dexter was a gigantic raging I think he's just a fucking idiot. He was just so stupid, but he just managed to get so lucky over and over again. And to be honest, I really hope that that is the case. Not just because it's funnier, but also because that's just the American dream in action, isn't it? After all, what is more American than a complete idiot who is in way over his head, but choosing to bluster his way through adversity like a bull in a china shop, and then inexplicably succeeding, just because someone told him that he couldn't. To me, that's inspirational.
That is inspirational.
Get out there and achieve your dreams. Even a penny is more money than you can count if you're stupid enough. If he can do it, so can you. No matter how hard the task is, and no matter how stupid you may be, if Timothy Dexter can sell coal to Newcastle, you can do fucking anything.
It's Count Dankula on YouTube. Everybody's just...
Oh, snap! Alex Jones! Oh my god. What the heck? Hold on, is a little bit left, or is it just ads? Okay, what's got it? It's nothing. But oh my god, the Mad Lad series. Who would have thought that I'd be enjoying it this goddamn much? See, this is what I am talking about. Give me more suggestions. I would love them. I need crazy stuff. I want funny. I want either crazy. I want just enjoyable. History doesn't matter. I will react to anything that the people want. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment for any future reactions. And remember to please come again.